I want to touch on something with Justin, which Naz just talked about, which is, the markets are definitely just slower, right? Like the prices are down, et cetera, et cetera. And and Justin, you're kind of in the heart of all things NFTs. You obviously founded a company. You help out, advise several others. What do you think? How would you sum up the current state of the art of the world of NFTs? Right? Like, what do you think is going to be happening in the coming months?
I think that everyone's kind of going through a disillusionment stage where I think people just assume, and we kind of saw this in 2017 during the ICO era, where people just assume that everything's going to hold its value forever. And the reality is not everything does. We saw it in .com. I was a little bit young to really know what was going on back then. We
Hmm.
saw it, we've seen it multiple times in history. And we're going through that phase of disillusionment. Now, from the ashes of .com, we have Amazon and incredible companies. And I think the people who were purely involved in a lot of this stuff for speculative purposes might have gotten hurt.
Hmm.
However, if you have been believing in this technology for a while and you focused on finding either projects or founders or communities
Yeah.
that had a real long-term vision of the future, people who want to work hard and innovate and push boundaries, most of those things are in great shape from when they launched, right?
Hmm.
And the best example of this is the Bored Apes. They were $200. I remember giving away a bunch of them on Clubhouse right after the mint.
I
And,
remember. Yeah.
and these are the reality is people's perspective always kind of lines up with wherever the top was, and they very rarely look at where we were just 2 years ago or even you know a year ago. The real momentum in NFTs didn't start, and I'll take I'll take a little bit of credit here. February of last year is when it started. The auction that I did was the first 8-figure NFT sale ever, and
Yeah.
then 3 weeks following that was Beeple's $69 million sale.
Yep.
And those two moments were the two biggest sales to date. And I think Beeple really changed everything, because that kind of number is just such an astronomical number to people that and then of course we had the Good Time show following that with Metacoven, the one we were talking about before. I think you just couldn't ignore it at that point. But even before that point, you had Pac and Trevor Jones and Slime Sunday and all these other artists that were monetizing their art for the first time. From
Hmm.
the point that I'm making here is from $0,
Yeah.
from zero. The
Yep.
first NFT sale that I had ever done was $21,000, which at the time was insane. I
Yeah.
was like, I made like $300 for an exclusive song that I never released with some art associated with it. And I was like, I cannot believe my creativity is being valued in this way. And so realistically, right, everybody looks at the markets and they get a little upset and they think, oh, it's down from where it was. But realistically, this is just the early innings of
Yeah.
what will be a multi-decade innovation journey for creators and engineers. And that's my perspective. And I kind of like to encourage everybody to keep a long-term perspective.